Morning. Well, I did it. I've added extensions to the push buttons. I've added extensions to the push buttons so that when I put this crossover on the layout, I will be able to remotely locate the push buttons without disconnecting all the wires and probably making a mess and inadvertently not connecting it properly back together. Once you get it on the layout, it's a little up. I'm up in the air a bit there, and it'll be very difficult. So I've added all these extension wires. Each one is probably a 4 foot long extension that goes from the switch motor and the non-derailing wires on the far side of the tracks or near the track to back to the push button with a 4 foot extension on it. In the process of doing that, I ran into a couple of issues with the existing switch motors, wires breaking off, push buttons shorting out. This one shorted out completely. I don't understand why, but it did. The wires broke off this push button and this push button. The only good thing about these push buttons is they have the little screws in them, so don't throw them away. You can always reuse the screws when the wires break off the motors, which they've done. Save the LEDs, but the push buttons are basically not working now and won't work. This motor I thought was good. Turned out it doesn't. It's not good. So some of the tools I've used, of course, are the ammeter, little clippers, needle nose pliers, strippers, screwdriver with a little fine straight point on it, a little fine straight on it. That's not the straight. That's the Phillips. This is the one with a straight on the end of it. It comes in a little kit. I use B connector. B connectors are basically a squeeze connector. You put the wires inside there, clamp and squeeze that connector with a pair of pliers, and it clamps down on the wire like that. And inside there are little piercing pieces of the B connector, pieces of metal that pierce through the insulation on the wire and connect both wires together without even stripping them. Mind you, I stripped the wires and then put them together in a little pigtail and then put that on and crimp tight. Works pretty good. These buttons I'm not pleased with. They're all right, but they're not as good as the other one. You see that? These ones work faultlessly. Quick, flawlessly. They certainly are a much better push button. I will use these till they're gone, and then I'll change them. It's still non-derailing. I did use I did solder some connections, and I used the solder, and I used one of these and placed these connectors I bought online. They have a solder ring in the middle, and what happens is you're supposed to heat that up, and that solder, low temperature solder there is supposed to melt and into the wires. It does and it doesn't. I have one of them on there. Mostly I soldered and then put heat shrink on them, or used the B connectors. The B connectors are as good as a solder joint. These staples you see here on the layout, these are staples. They are a Milwaukee stapler. This is my Milwaukee stapler. being an electrician, I need to staple the wires, and this thing is a godsend. This thing does so much work in such a short period of time. The $300 I paid for it, 350 bucks I paid for it, was worth every cent of it. It come with a box of staples, 600 staples up here for 26 bucks. Probably going to be 30 by the time Trudeau gets finished with the carbon tax. But still in all, the labor saved is unreal. It'll do anything from bell wire. You can see the small little wires here that it's stapled. It doesn't crush them either. It doesn't crush them. It's got a computer inside that thing. There's a computer in there. And it doesn't crush the wires. No matter how thick they are, it doesn't crush them. Excuse me. Great tool. Worth the money. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I did that so that it keeps everything straight as I'm wiring and working. Made a big difference. Though hopefully I will be able to transpose this onto the layout without too much problem, and these wires then will not be crossing the track on top. They'll be crossing underneath the support that the tracks go on the top level. They cross underneath and then come back up, and probably be some within 4 feet of the switch itself or adjacent to it. And you'll see how things work out there. But at least I have 4 feet of extension to relocate the push buttons, because they're all, that's the way it is now. So each push button, look at that, how loose is that? So many things, so many little issues in wiring these. There's so much goes on with this stuff. You couldn't possibly do it on the layout and not get totally frustrated. Anyway, I thought I'd give you an update on what I've been doing and what I've done with the crossover. It all still works good. So we're ready to go. We're ready to take the layout, open up the spot on the layout where it's going to go, and start the insertion. Whether I get it done this week or not, I don't know. I have a job to do, so it may sit here for half a week or so before, maybe a week before I get it back onto the layout. But it's ready to go. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it. Hope I help somebody. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Take care, guys. Like and comment. Thank you very much. And subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.